Okay, today on our Raw podcast, we are joined with Sucheta, who has made the trek down from Orangeville.
Yes.
Right? So, how was the drive?
Honestly, not too bad. I'm very much used to it.
Nice.
Listening to my favorite music.
What is your favorite music?
So much. I'm all over the place with my choices, but I love Adele. I listen to a lot of Bollywood music as well. That's what I grew up listening to, so a little bit of that as well. And then the new Taylor Swift album, of course.
Do you love it?
Yeah, it's been really nice.
Good, 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 good. Okay, so the way this all came about is it's so funny. I feel like things are always meant to be. So, I was telling my team that on the day that you had messaged me, there was a cancellation, and there you were. You're like, do you need a guest for a podcast? I'm like, you're in, girl.
I
So
love that. I
yeah,
love
that's
that.
great. So tell us, for the listeners at home that don't know anything about you, and I honestly don't know anything about you either, so this is exciting. I always start off the podcast asking all my guests, what does authenticity mean to you?
Mhm. Authenticity to me means everything. Honestly, it is part of my approach with the way I lead life. It is feeling safe enough to be yourself and honor yourself. And that means going after things you want to do, whether that is, messaging random people, being like, hey, I'd love to be on your podcast. Or whether it is saying no and setting boundaries, whatever that might look like for you. But at the end of the day, it is just listening to what your heart wants and being confident enough to be like, you know what? I think it deserves to try it out in the world. I deserve to see if this goes my way. And if not, there's a lesson there, right?
Right. Has it ever backfired on you when you have tried to be 100% your authentic self and create boundaries? Like, has it been received negatively?
All the time.
Yeah. So, how do you move forward with that? Like, what are some of the things that you do to overcome that?
Yeah, I think it really depends on the situation. Like I've had a couple friends that I've lost over time just because they weren't kind of happy with the fact that I was choosing myself and setting the boundaries. So I've had to deal with like letting go of those relationships and kind of reminding myself that, I am right in the situation and I am right to honor myself. And if it's with, let's say, clients, it's been like, okay, you know what? I am honoring myself. I am reminding myself that like I don't deserve to, let's say, charge less, or I don't deserve to be treated and talked to the way that I'm being talked to. Um, and just again, reminding myself that like it is okay that you're ruffling a little bit of feathers because you can't please everybody, right?
And that you're way younger than me, and I'm learning. I wish I knew that back then. So I really struggled with boundaries and always have.
Mhm.
So it's one of those things where you just have to do it, right? And then it
Yeah,
gets
for
better and
sure.
better. So
For
good for
sure.
you.
Thank
So,
you.
okay, I do know this about you that you are you've grown up with immigrant parents. So tell me about that. What is that like? Because you seem like you're a firecracker, and I know again, for the listeners that are at home, I'm gonna kind of go out there and assume that you're of Indian descent.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
I actually grew up in India. I was born in India, grew up there till I was 11,
Okay.
and then we ended up moving to Canada. And it is a big part of my identity that I'm from an immigrant family and I'm the black sheep of the family. Everyone is in my family is just like, I don't know what is wrong with you. Why can't you just be conventional? Why can't you just be like everybody else? But um, I feel like my purpose is to not be like everybody else and remind everyone else around me that you don't have to be like everybody else. And that's gotten me trouble growing up. But here we are.
And are you close to your family?
Yeah, I actually
Yeah.
live with my parents. I moved back home after finishing university, so I live with them, and we've obviously had ups and downs, but we only get closer by the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Are you in a relationship?
Yes, I
Yeah.
am. Yeah, I'm in a very secure relationship of 6 years.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, yeah.
And did you choose them on your own? Like, did you find them? Like, how did you guys meet?
We met at Western. We
Oh,
ran into each
nice.
other at a party, and it's been history since. Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah,
Good
yeah,
for
yeah.
you. Okay, I'm gonna get deep now.
Go at it.
So, if I was to ask you what has been the most raw moment in your life that has really kind of defined who you are today, and it's probably going to be hard to pick just one, but
That's a hard one. there's a couple, but I guess so for me, I was studying physiotherapy in
Mm-hmm.
school, or I was studying kinesiology. I was going to go into physiotherapy, and I kind of just had like a route planned out, just because I like certainty and knowing where I'm headed. I'm very much a control freak, so
Welcome to the club.
yeah.
I think it's our upbringing, right? Like it's
Exactly,
yeah,
exactly. So
the
I'm just
hustle
like,
mentality.
exactly. I'm like, I want to know exactly where I'm headed. And then I ended up on a whim deciding I want to launch a business. And then it ended up doing well. And I was like, oh, wait, like I thought it would just be like for fun, like maybe like a summer thing, but here I am with like a full-blown business. So I jumped right into it, which was great. Like I got to learn a lot. And one thing people don't realize is when you launch a business, in the beginning it's really fun
Yes.
because you're like, oh my gosh, I'm learning so much, and like you're telling people around you, and they're like, oh, this is amazing. And if you are a well-networked person, you actually get a lot of clients right off the bat. That's
Mm-hmm.
not the hard part. The hard part is once you've kind of gone through your network, and then you have to grow the business,
Yes.
because that's when it hit for me. I was like, oh my gosh, like, now I don't know what to do. I don't know if people take me seriously. So I had a hard time then, and I went from like doing really well launching my business to and I have really supportive parents, like having my parents like pay for my car insurance and like just a lot of little things like where they were supporting me because they're like, it's okay, like it's part of the process and all of that. So for me, that was like, oh my gosh, like I'm supposed to be adulting, like I'm supposed to be supporting them. And there's just like this guilt that's involved.
Right.
So yeah, like I think that was for me like one of the rawest moments where I was like, okay, like is this something I really want to do? And if it is, then um, you have this like supportive circle around you. Let's take advantage of that.
Right.
You can't just be sitting around and like letting it all go to waste. So,
So that's a raw moment sort of in your business, but
yeah.
I want to get deeper and go
Yeah.
like your life. Like what is something that, have you faced adversity growing up? Have you had trauma in your life that has really affected who you are?
Um, when I moved from India to here, I was not someone who spoke English. I was not someone who understood the social cues here, so I obviously struggled in school and life and making friends and things like that. Um, but the biggest struggle I had was making friends and then having them make fun of me growing up. So, like as an Indian person, like I had a lot of hair, I had a lot of body hair. So I would have my own friends kind of make fun of me. And I had such a hard time figuring out like my own self-esteem and my relationship with my body and just myself in general because that those are your like developmental years, right? Like, and if
Mm-hmm.
people around you are making fun of you, you're like, okay, I'll do anything to change it to fit in.
Right.
So I changed my name. I changed the way I would dress, the way I would talk. A lot of people are like, oh, you moved from India, like we can't tell because I completely changed my accent because I'm like, I just don't want to get bullied again. Like I just don't want to face that again. And I'm like slowly getting back into kind of unlearning a lot of those things.
Right.
But before I'd be like, no, don't call me Sucheta. That's not my name. So I'm like learning to like love my name again and love where I come from.
You're gonna make me cry because you're like a freaking soul sister. Like my girlfriend and my assistant that
Yeah.
works here, Beth, is we've known each other from like way before I had my businesses and everything. And as soon as I kind of showed her you, she's like, "That's like your little sister." And I'm like, "Yeah, like our upbringing is the same. Like I had hair all over me. My brother actually gave me a razor and tried to get me to shave when I was young. So then that made all the hair come in, and I was teased about having a mustache. So I feel you, and I changed my name. I never wanted anyone to know my background. So right now, like I'm not being triggered, but I'm feeling like
Yeah.
heart to heart, right?
Yeah.
So I definitely know what that feels like. And this podcast is not about me, but I just wanted to
Yeah.
say that you're not alone in those feelings. And there will, as you keep getting more and more seasoned, you'll get to a point where you're just so proud of who you are. And yeah, so don't let any fucking asshole tell you that you're not good enough to be here.
No,
So,
for sure,
yeah,
for sure. And thank you for sharing that. That makes me feel seen, honestly.
100%. 100%. Thank you for sharing that. So, okay, let's go into a fun question. The silliest nickname that you were called growing up.
Oh, silliest nickname. Okay, well, my name is Sucheta, right?
Right.
And whenever I would introduce myself as that, they'd be like, "Oh my gosh, that sounds like bruschetta." So that was like the silliest one. And I let it stick because I was like, "Yeah, it's fine. I'll fit in, like whatever."
Right.
And then I was also called Sushi, so that was
Oh.
a
Do you like
nickname.
sushi?
Like to eat?
Yeah.
Yes. As a
Not to be
name?
called. No.
No. Yeah.
Those are, do people still call
No.
you by those
No.
names?
I go by Sush, and then at home I go by Noni, which I don't know where that came from, but that's what like people in my like my parents, my grandparents, like that's what they call me, would love.
Right. And have you been back to India since you've been in Canada?
I went back in 2014, so it's been 10 years. Yeah.
And how was it like when you went back?
I again was in a phase where I had just gotten my first phone. I was texting my friends. I was like, I want to be here. And I really wish I wasn't like that because like now I really want to go back and I really want to experience it again. Because I was like, I want to be here. I just want to be with my friends and I just want to like I finally just got accepted and now you are taking me completely away from all of that. I just remember staying up all the time because there's like a time difference
Right.
with Canada. So I would just stay up and text and
And text all your friends instead of
not
enjoying.
enjoy my time with my grandparents or my cousins or just anything there. Yeah.
Right. So, do you have a favorite Indian food? Like, do you cook Indian food?
Yes, I
Yeah.
do. That's such a hard question. Um, I guess I don't know if you know about khichdi. Do you know what khichdi is? Yeah, so my mom's khichdi, that's my comfort food. That's
Okay.
like when I'm
So, for the
having a hard
viewers
day.
and listeners at home that aren't privy to what we're
Yeah,
talking about, do you want to explain what it is?
it is a rice and lentil porridge almost.
Hmm.
It's like slow cooked, and then we add some spices in it, turmeric, ginger, salt, obviously, and then we add ghee on top, and it is the most delicious thing ever because it just reminds you of, a rainy day
And
and
comfort.
home. Yeah, it's just the best thing ever for me. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so I know that you've had a little bit of a journey in terms of your what you went to school for, what business you ended up doing. Do
Yeah.
you want to talk a little bit about your Ayurvedic snacks that you made?
You did your research.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, so I went to school for kinesiology. I
Mhm.
was studying to become a physiotherapist, like I mentioned, and on a whim, my roommate and I were like, you know what, it would be really fun to do, just like launch a business. And we had no idea what to launch a business around. We had no idea what it takes. We completely didn't know. We're just like, oh, for fun, let's go, right? And there is this accelerator program at Western. We applied for fun. We're like, if we get in, it would be really cool. Like, that's it. Just be really cool. Think that, oh, we did that, right? And that fun little challenge that we gave ourselves turned into a real thing when Western was like, hey, you are pretty good at this. Would you guys want 10K to launch this business? And we're like, sure. Like, if that, yeah, why not? So that's kind of how it began. We didn't even take ourselves seriously, but it was nice to see that there were other professionals out there who took us seriously
Right.
because I think a lot of people don't get that validation when they're first launching their business. So we're like, okay, the validation's there, the money's there. We have nothing that we can use as an excuse, so let's launch it.
Right.
We launched the business in London, Ontario. Within, I think, 4 months, we were in Sobeys, we were in No Frills, we were in a couple stores around London, which was really incredible to see. It was also in the midst of the pandemic, so
Right.
we
Which
had a
is
hard time with like the commercial kitchen and just meeting people one on one. But we were at the farmers market with the masks and everything and all the regulations, but we made it work and we grew it to a point where we were really happy with it. But I think one thing that I personally struggled with because I was doing all the marketing for that business was I just felt like there was nobody that we could find that understood what we were trying to talk about in
right.
terms of branding and social media and things like that. So I I was like, I'll take over the social media, I'll take over the marketing as much as I can.
Hmm.
And that led to a couple other business owner friends asking me to kind of do the same for them as well. Um, and I was kind of juggling two things at once at a point. I was also in school, actually. I was in school. I was juggling a Rise and Go. That's the
Hmm.
product. It is a superfood. It's popped water lily seeds. So it's kind of like popcorn,
Right.
but it's lily seeds that's popped instead of a corn kernel, and then we used to roast it, flavor it. So I didn't even get into that, but basically that was a product, and that's what we were growing. And then on top of that, I was also helping business owners kind of tell their story as well. And then came a point where I graduated, and I was like, okay, what do I want to do? Do I still want to do physio school? Do I want to work on these businesses? Like, what are we doing here? So I made the decision to move back home, work on the two businesses, and then slowly, my co-founder and I decided that it's actually just better that we take the learnings from this
Hmm.
first business and apply it and kind of amplify other business owners' voices. So that's what I've been doing for the last 3 years.
So do you still have the poppy seed? The
No,
No? Did you
no.
sell it or did you just let it kind of
Yeah, we kind of
let it?
just because we had other commitments that were taking a lot more of our time, and we're just like, it's kind of not fair to the business if we're
Right.
half-assing it. So we're like, you know what, let's put a stop to it. Let's end it where it is. And we were really happy with how much we grew it.
Right.
But I think there comes a point with every business where you're like, okay, do I want to completely grow this and, go all out with this, or is there something else that lights me up? So
Do you have any regrets with that or do you feel like you
I wish we grew it a little bit more and sold it.
yeah.
That would have been really nice. But I think for me, I hold all the learnings so close to my heart, and I still am working with so many like food business owners and
That's great.
people who are launching snacks or restaurants and things like that. So that
So it's helped,
knowledge,
right? So
exactly, it still comes with, but I do wish that we could have grown it a little
yeah.
more.
So where do you see yourself 5 years from now?
Oof, wow, that's a interesting one. I think I see myself right where I am because I'm really happy where I am. I'll be very honest. I think a lot of the times we are always kind of wanting, and chasing the
Mhm.
next thing, but I think I'm really happy where I am. Maybe travel a little bit more because that's something I haven't done as much. Again, being an immigrant, that's not something that a lot of our
Yeah.
families value. So I definitely want to travel more, take my parents on more vacations and things like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
So being raised by immigrant parents, do you have any um, anger towards the culture or your family? Because it is very different, right? It is different than being Canadian or in a, well, obviously every culture is different, but do you
Yeah.
have any anger towards your family or your culture?
Uh, I used to have a lot of anger towards my family, but I think we've kind of worked through it since I moved back home. And like, I used to be very upset with their actions before, but now I can understand the intention behind those actions. I'm like, okay, like, I get it. Like, maybe it wasn't the best way to go about it,
Right.
but I understand it. And when I have kids in the future, like I know I'll have the same intentions. Maybe I'll go about it a different way, but but I
Yes.
understand it. So I guess I've kind of like gotten over the anger there. In terms of the culture, I think there's a lot that I'm still processing. Yeah,
Right.
with the whole when you're more fair, you're more beautiful. When you have less hair, you're
Let's
more
talk
beautiful.
about that for a minute
Yeah.
because there is so much discrimination within the same race,
Yes.
right? So the lighter brown you are, you're considered more pretty or more
Yes.
beautiful, or you're more eligible, so to speak, for marriage when it's like arranged marriage and things. So how have you dealt with that? Because I got my own
Yeah.
school of thought on that.
I mean, I remember like growing up, my grandma, my lovely grandma, but she, again, we've just been conditioned to think this way, right? Like she used to be like, scrub your skin every time you shower, like so you're not dark or the tan doesn't stay. And I'm like, I like being darker. Like I actually
Yes.
like the way my skin glows that way, and they never understood it. And I guess moving to Canada, I'm able to kind of rebel
Mhm.
against that dialogue, but or that way of thinking. But in India, I think it's still very prominent, and a lot of women still struggle with that. Um, Last year, I took my mom to Mexico, and we were on a beach, and I'm like tanning. I'm like, this is amazing, and she is 100% covered up, head to
I
toe. She's
know.
like, I don't want to get tanned. I don't like this.
Yep.
So it's like just little things here and there, but I'm like, we have to challenge it as the next generation because otherwise it's just going to continue, right?
So hopefully this will help you. So I used to paint myself with liquid paper when I was younger because I wanted to be white so bad because I was bullied really bad. And then it was one day, this older gentleman who was a friend of my dad's looked at me and said, "You look at those people that are bullying you and say, why do you pay all this money to go on these trips and to go to tanning salons so you can look like me and be the skin color that I am?" And for me as a young girl, I think I was 8 at the time, that just stuck with me. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be proud of who I am. But it's easier said than done, right? Because you still get picked on and you get called packy and you get all these awful things that are said. So I think it just comes down to grounding yourself and being okay with yourself. But that doesn't come till like later. Like I
No,
still struggle with it
for
once in a
sure.
while. Like I find I might not be so open when people are like, "Where are you from?" Like everyone always tries to guess. I won't give it up
Yeah.
like right away because I'm like, "Oh, what do you think I am?" Right. So, and
Yeah.
what does it matter, to be
Well, it doesn't
honest?
matter. That's the
But
thing, right?
yeah, so that's interesting that you're experiencing that as well. So, okay, do you watch Friends?
I used to. I was very obsessed with it, I think
Okay.
a couple of years ago now. Yeah.
So if you could be any Friends character, who would you be and why?
Um, I would say Monica. Again, I'm the oldest sister. Very type A. And then I'm not a big cleaner, but I am a big like I need things organized.
Right.
So I'd say Monica.
Okay. Nice. Okay, let's talk about being type A because I'm type A.
Yeah.
So, what do you do when you meet a client that you're type A and so if you and I are working together, I'm type A and you're type A, how do you deal?
We just have a genuine chat. We talk for 2 hours. Every time I sign a client, I just want to give them time and space to share anything and everything. So a little bit of what we're doing right now is
Right.
kind of how it would be. Like, hey, let's just get to it, right? What is it that actually drives you and your business? What is it that you struggle with? What is it that you actually want to work on, but you just find yourself like, oh, I'm procrastinating, or I've tried, but it just like doesn't stick. So it's like we really figure out like how your life is
Right.
as a business owner because I think that's what matters, right? Like when you are growing your business, a lot of people are doing it out of their homes now. There's so many different factors involved. So I think I just like to get to know people on a very deep level first, and then we talk a little bit more about okay, what are the goals? How do we want to see, what type of results we want to see, and how do we want to get there? We set those together. But again, it I think the latter part looks very different depending on how type A the person is.
Right.
So if you're a more visually driven person, we'll create more visually appealing plans. But if you are more of someone who needs to daydream and you need to create vision boards, we go into that first. So it just really depends on how a person
Getting down to that.
operates. Yeah.
So, do you find being type A, has it worked against you in any part of your life? Like,
I mean, I'm seen as bossy. Everyone's like, "Oh, you're so bossy," but I'm like, "Yeah, and that's what makes me good at my job."
right, good,
Right?
confident,
Yeah,
right? So,
but maybe not the most fun person to be around when we are, let's say, planning a family event or something like that. Because my cousins are like, "Oh my gosh, like, can you take a break?" So I'm like,
I think my team says that
"Yeah,
about me often
yeah,
too. Okay with it.
yeah."
Okay with it. Okay, your biggest flaw.
Biggest flaw. Ugh. I don't do well with uncertainty, so I'm a big overthinker. Like I will stay up just trying to find an answer when all I need to do is just sleep it off.
My team member's laughing at me because she's like, "Oh, you're speaking Sabina's language."
Yeah.
So you just sleep it off and you kind of,
Yeah, I mean, I try to. Like, so recently I launched Move Meet. So it is a community for women to
right,
meet and move their bodies. And I was trying to plan this event and it went really well. And I come home and what are you supposed to do when you come home after a really great event?
get excited.
Get
I'd be
excited.
celebrating.
Yeah,
Like,
celebrate.
I
Like,
keep going.
and then, yeah, but it's like a lot of people would be like, okay, planning starts tomorrow. No, I could not. I could not do that. I came home. I say, okay, thank you, everyone. Like, I celebrated with my parents. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go upstairs now and go to my room. And I stayed up the entire night and I planned the next 3 events because I'm like, it was so fun seeing
Yeah.
all these women connect that I need to like make sure that there's more of these.
That's awesome.
So
That's awesome. So I am going to throw a question to one of my team members, Beth. Don't, do you have any questions for Sucheta?
What do you do with your friends in your free time?
Oh, I like that.
good coffee, good conversations wherever we are. So whether it's just doing a hike or um, if we are traveling somewhere or we just come like go to each other's house and we just watch a movie, but the movie's just playing in the background. Yeah.
Do you have a question, Mackenzie?
Yes, this is coming. I guess my question to you would be like, have you ever experienced burnout, being an overthinker, and what do you do to recharge?
Yes, I have all the time. And I like that's what I kind of was like, oh, I didn't really fully answer the question. My flaw is working way too much and then burning out and then I'm like, okay, can't even lift a finger. I can't even do anything and then I have to cancel or flake on things because I just added way too much to my plate. So I've definitely experienced that a lot. I'm 24, I'm already gray. So that's signs that like my body is like, okay, you know what? Like you're doing too much and you need to back off. Yeah.
So what do you do? Like, do you have any tips for the listeners or viewers, like in terms of before you get to that burnout or when you do reach burnout? Because as you say, you flake, right? So you set the bar up here for your clients and then you start flaking. Like, how do you come back from that? Like, I know we've all experienced that.
Yeah, yeah. I just try to incorporate things every single day to kind of ground me instead of, oh, I'm like reaching burnout, let me prevent it. Because that's
Right.
like you're just kind of putting a band-aid on it. So I try to like go to yoga classes every single day. I try to meditate and journal every day. That being said, sometimes it doesn't happen every day.
Right.
Or sometimes it does happen every day, but your mind's still like busy doing whatever it's doing. So I just have to remind myself that taking care of myself is also a business task
Right.
because it is, right? Like if I'm not
That's great. I like
100%,
that. Do you
yeah,
want to say that again? And but actually look at the camera and say that for the people that are watching. I love that.
yeah, taking care of yourself is a business task. It's an admin task that needs to be tended to every single day.
Love it. That actually gave me chills. That's great. I'm going to end with one fun question while one of my team members cues something up. So, weirdest dream you've ever had?
Weirdest dream. Ooh, I had a dream. This is a recent one too. I had a dream that I was at a wedding of this like really old friend that I grew up with, and it's like really beautiful, and I'm like helping set it up, and I forget all my makeup, and I'm like running around, and then like just I somehow end up just like playing chess with a random like person.
Person?
And I'm like, what? Why? What are you trying to tell me here? So I'm not really sure. But
Do you
that was it.
analyze those dreams after or?
I talk about it with my boyfriend
Yeah.
and we laugh about it, but we don't really try to like figure out the meaning.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, this is really going to put you on the spot, and I hope you don't hate me, but we've come to sort of the end of this podcast, which thank you very much for driving down here. But I know that you are a dancer and you're a Bollywood dancer.
Oh my gosh, you're
so
gonna make me dance?
I am going to totally make you dance. I'm
Only
gonna,
if you dance with me.
I'll screw in the light bulb with you.
Okay.
There's no limit.